So today we are finally back with once again another episode of the most wanted updates that we have ourselves in War Tycoon. I decided to be doing this series for quite a long time now, so if you guys would like to see another episode, then do let me know in the comment section down below. Anyway, today we will be reviewing these suggestions, seeing how good they are, and I will be rating them from the top, and I've tried to cover as many as possible, and hopefully we will be able to cover all of them today. I will try to at least do that. Anyway, so the first suggestion we have ourselves is, of course, Give Me This Back, which is of course speaking about our very old Vietnam truck. Honestly, the developers have made clear reasons on why they are not going to be adding this back, so I think this suggestion is kind of useless. I don't think they're going to be listening to it, so let's just move into the next one. My suggestion is 3 words: start reading suggestions. I don't understand this one, because they are actually adding so much stuff that people have suggested recently, and the community is still very unhappy with it, but it's whatever at this point. The next suggestion over here is please an option to remove these buttons, because when you are going and PvPing inside of the garage, you could of course step on them and it's just going to be causing you to lose a fight. Yeah, I've seen this suggestion before, and honestly probably one of my favorite ones. I wish there was a settings to remove the game passes which are on the floor. Same with the operations, because maybe let's say we could have ourselves like a PvP mode which just gets rid of all of these different various things to make just overall PvP easier for us. I would love this to actually be added into the game, and it's such a simple suggestion, but yeah, it would also stop the sales from flowing in some way, shape or form though. Okay, so the next one over here is the F-35 needs to look like a real deal. Rework the model, just a thought, it might look a lot better and more fierce. Yeah, because the current F-35 in War Tycoon, I'm going to be fully honest here, it kind of does look like a joke, and it doesn't really feel this strong as strong as it should be in a sense, because there's a lot of inaccuracies about the F-35, and the main one speaking here is the fact that the F-35 we have in War Tycoon is basically like a few versions of the F-35s from real life kind of put into one plane, but not to add, there are some design inaccuracies as well, and the F-45 just looks like a very silver kind of piece of junk. I really don't like the way it looks like right now, and I wish they would actually make us a redesign, because the only way to make the F-35 looking good in War Tycoon right now is just go ahead and use the most crazy variations of skin. Alright, so the next suggestion over here is let us use the freaking autocannon on the AH-1Z like the Apache. Yeah, a lot of people did want something like this to actually be went ahead and used, because the Apache was useless for such a long amount of time, because its main cannon just it wasn't really useful. No one could use it. You literally had to have 2 people to use it. But the one thing I have recently been noticing with these suggestions, and that holy crap, man, these suggestions are really aggressive, especially with the caps and just adding the extra words in there. But I do kind of understand the community's frustration for a few little bits and pieces, but these things tend to be fixed quite consistently. Anyway, the next suggestion right here is add the Ra-66 Komachi, the first helicopter, with stealth mode. Okay, I would love something like this to actually go ahead and happen in the game. I'm not very sure about the Raider X, but isn't the Raider X another helicopter that does also have some stealth capabilities as well? As I think I'm correct here, but yeah, this would probably be one of the first helicopters to ever have stealth, and I would love this feature to be used on helicopters as well. But once again, the thing with the stealth mode, we want this to be a unique feature that isn't really spammed, so if they are going to be adding more vehicles that just have stealth capabilities, it's kind of going to be making other vehicles not as unique and not as special as well, and the stealth mode would also feel like a daily thing as well. But I would love them to be adding something like this anyway. Maybe a few helicopters will be fine. Anyway, next suggestion right here is add realistic afterburners. It will make the game a lot more realistic. Yes, the current afterburners that we have in War Tycoon, I'm gonna be honest, they don't look super realistic, but I feel like the developers are getting better and better with them as every update goes, which I very much appreciate that. Anyway, next suggestion over here is add a radar system for advanced vehicles with planes. How to get it about the research lab, and there is a lot of kinds, so there is a low distance and high distance, so help us get the suggestion on the new update. I think the sentence structure in this suggestion was a little bit weird, that's why I struggled reading out properly, but yeah, I would love a radar system definitely to be added into the game, because it would not only make vehicles like the Patriot and the Panzer or any other vehicles on the ground much more useful, it would also make the planes feel a lot more realistic and just a lot more fun while we are playing around with them. Alrighty, so moving to the next suggestion, which is actually pretty simple. I have already seen this one before, but pretty much the simple idea that it's going to tell us is that the fact that War Tycoon back 4 years ago used to be a lot more realistic, and they want the explosions to be a lot more realistic, look a lot cooler, and etc. However, the problem being with this is if you would like to grow a game of very big size, it just causes you to pretty much be forced to lower the quality a little bit to make every player be able to play the game without any problems, because essentially as a high Roblox game, you want to keep the players on the game for as long as possible. However, if the game game has a lot more realistic effects, it just causes people with the lower ended devices not really be able to play the game, which I completely understand why the drop of quality has happened, and I think they should just try to optimize the game better and slowly add in the quality while of course trying to not harm people on the lower devices. Anyway, the next suggestion over here that we have ourselves is add more capture points to the map. Yep, this is something everyone has actually asked for, because right now there's only really one capture point on the map, and that is pretty annoying. I wish there would also be some kind of fights going on for the oil barrels, but yeah, I would love there to be at least some kinds of more places to fight for, because it would make the gaming experience a lot more fun for a lot of people, because of the fact that a lot more things will be going on in the servers. Anyway, definitely a W suggestion, definitely gonna give it a thumbs up. Anyway, the next one over here is stop adding planes. Most of them are copy and paste. I feel like that's not entirely true in terms of them being copy and paste, but the one thing I do agree with is that we had so many more planes recently, and I feel like it's just slowly starting to be a little too much in my personal viewing, and I feel like we need more ground vehicles because the planes, they've just been going too crazy with them recently. Anyway, add Russian armored ground vehicle gas tiger for daily rewards or just some challenge level. Yeah, this is a very simple suggestion. I would love to have much more ground vehicles, which at least do have some more use, or at least will be certainly strong. But yeah, definitely a thumbs up from me. The research lab update is coming, and until now we don't know what upgrades does this thing do, so my suggestion is to make the big helicopters have an upgradable feature to carry vehicles. And once again, I do not like this suggestion at all, because the developers have pretty much made it super clear recently that as long as the Roblox physics are not going to be listening to them, then it's just pretty much impossible to add vehicles that we are able to carry. It's just never going to happen until it just becomes easier for Roblox or War Tycoon developers find some kind of way to actually make this real and make this possible, because so far it's kind of a failed feature and it's almost impossible to implement this for now. So I wouldn't want something like this to be happening, however this is still a good suggestion. Anyway, the next over here is once again to stop adding the planes. It is very unrealistic, and yeah, I feel like that when we do go ahead and go into the Dark Star kind of level of planes, it does become slightly unrealistic, and a lot of people are not going to be enjoying it as much as they used to. But I feel like the main goal here with these planes is the fact that they need to kind of make the planes very balanced, and it's very hard to make planes balanced if there are going to be way higher generations than the likes of the F-35. Anyway, once again, stop adding planes. I'm not going to be reading this out. Let's go ahead and move into something like here. Why do we have an SR-72 when it never really existed, never flew, and it can never carry weapons? Even a MiG-31 on SR-31 as an interceptor is a much better idea. Yeah, I feel like just adding an SR-71 would make a lot more sense, and this is something that has actually been tried out before. I feel like this would be a much better idea, and I would love them to be adding something a little bit more realistic in the game. However, we are kind of going away from the realism once again, like the previous suggestion. It does make the gameplay experience a little bit harder, but I feel like the SR-72 can still find its place in War Tycoon. Okay, so the next suggestion over here is maybe you can add an option in the loadout to put a gun on the back front as a cosmetic. When it equipped, it of course disappears. Maybe it will be limited to 2 guns or something. Yeah, I would love us to actually be able to have our weapons at the back. That would be pretty cool. I see a lot of games that are like Wild West games that do have this kind of feature, and I feel like this could definitely make a fun addition to War Tycoon for sure. Anyway, the next suggestion once again is the pity system. I've already went through this, definitely a W suggestion. Let's cover the next one. What is this, Gizmo? Please fix this. I think this has been posted as a repost once again. Yeah, we do have ourselves a lock-on warning on the person. Yeah, there are a few backend problems right now. But yeah, the next one right here is make the suitcase drone count as a kill. Yeah, because right here is telling us to kind of get kills with drones. And the problem with the suitcase drone that is for some entire reason in the code it doesn't actually register when we are going ahead and getting a kill with this. I am really confused how this is going on, but most of the time we do not get a kill with the suitcase drone, even when we do go ahead and kind of kill someone. It just doesn't give us the 1000 points for the kill. Anyway, the next suggestion right here is RPG attachments. Yeah, there are many different attachments we could go ahead and have for the RPG, and I feel like some of them could increase accuracy, some of them could cause the RPG to kind of go more in a straight line until it's going to be on a decline. I don't really know the better wording for this, but I hope that a lot of people do understand where I'm coming from. But I feel like the range, the fire rate maybe could be increased, a lot of different things. Okay, so the next suggestion over here is an anti-aircraft missile system, because the serum is currently useless. Yeah, the serum just doesn't really do enough, so I feel like having two kind of anti-aircraft systems will be really cool, but then it will be really cool to also have an anti-ground missile system as well. But yeah, definitely a W suggestion. I'm gonna give this a thumbs up. Anyway, people once again want the Land Rover to be added back in the game. I swear the Land Rover hasn't been in the game for at least a few months now, and I don't think it's going to be making its return anytime soon, because it has been removed for a few reasons such as copyright and etc. Anyway, the next suggestion right here is add Su-27 and F-15 in an air superiority update. Yeah, the F-15 Eagle is something that a lot of people wanted, same with the Su-27. I would love this to be added because people still do want to have more Su planes in the game. We have pretty much almost the whole entire F family in the game right now, so adding more Sus would also be really cool. Anyway, once again, is giving the Black Hawk weapons. I think I've already seen this suggestion before. And the next suggestion right here is adding stickers to planes. Yes, this is something that a lot of people have requested in the past, and I would love something like this to be happening in the game, because once again, it would allow us to kind of make our planes a lot more unique and actually kind of stand out compared to other people. Anyway, the one and last suggestion right here in this video is adding a train like this, and I think the only way I would see something like this happening as a train with weaponry in War Tycoon would be by adding our own kind of rail system where the train kind of will be going underground, and if you guys are going to be able to rob it, then you're pretty much going to be getting like a lot of medals with a lot of cash, or maybe even a special weapon if we rob the train enough or something. That would be a pretty cool kind of operation to be able to do. Anyway, that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about these top suggestions. I feel like these ones have actually been better than the previous ones, and I am a big fan of what the community has recently been suggesting. Anyway, let me know in the comment section down below what you would like to see added into War Tycoon. And yeah, I'll see you guys next video. Have a great day, and thanks so much to my channel members.